All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Wednesday, March 6th. We got an 8-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, keep an eye on the pinned comment if you do want to do the opposite of what I say and fade my final picks. Again, that is in the pinned comment. And last night, man, I paid a couple sportsbook salaries. Dropping the womp womp for that for absolute certain. There's a lot more red X's than units we lost. Technically speaking, we were down, I think it was like 4 point something units. But from a picks perspective, we go 5-1, which... yikes. And the only one we won was Luka over 3.5 threes. It cashes in the first half. It was a 0.25 unit play. So even our winner, it was a plus money play, but it wasn't even all that monetarily redeeming, right? So that pretty much feels like a reverse sweep and an absolute just drop kick to the face. So tough to swallow there, but nonetheless, we're here. We're showing up. We're owning it. We're going to have terrible days. We have a brand called Fade Me. I'm not the best sports bettor in the world, but I like to do this crap. So we are here giving our picks for today. So hopefully we don't lose all you guys. Shout out to the people that say I can't smile after losing. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the ride of the day because that is where the good news comes in. Take the cha-ching. Lalo comes in with the third dub in a row. We had Kristaps Porzingis over 1.5 3-pointers made. That cashes early in the game as well. What an incredible Celtics-Cavs game yesterday, too. Coming down to the last second. Shout out to the Cavs for coming back. I think they went on like a 32-to-something run. Like, woof. Nuts. But nonetheless, our ride of the day cashes there 1.5 threes for Kristaps. Cha-ching. Lalo's now hit 3 ride of the days in a row. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you have to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. And I'm picking one person's pick, jumping on board with that pick, and giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. I also shout you out over on my Twitter if you want to go check it out there at EvGuyBoston, and on my Instagram at EvPick. So use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. If you win, like Lalo has, we continue to ride with your picks. And speaking of Instagram, guys, make sure you do go follow me over there at EvPicks. We're posting a lot of short form content. Like, we actually crushed the DFS apps yesterday with prize picks and some chalkboard slips. So that's all great. We don't count that towards our record win or loss. Sometimes I wish we did, obviously, because we do seem to crush those apps. But yeah, if you want additional content, we post a lot of it as YouTube shorts, but definitely follow me over on Instagram at EvPicks with a Z. But all right, without further ado, I should say, let's jump into the first game here. We have Washington taking on Miami. I'm all over the place today. Washington taking on Orlando. Right now, Washington 8-point dogs at home. Total sitting at 224. Orlando is on a back-to-back. They do end up covering against Charlotte last night. That game, actually, I would say for the first 15 to 20 minutes of that game actually looked like it was going to be somewhat close. And then Orlando starts to pull away in the third quarter, end of the second half there as well. So that game was somewhat close. It doesn't end up close, though. They end up winning 101-89. That being said, I don't think I love Orlando right now on the road, on a back-to-back. It just doesn't seem like the best spot for them. So, yeah, I kind of reluctantly lean towards the Wizards. I can't believe I'm saying it out loud, but if this was like a 5-point spread, I'd consider Orlando. 8 just seems a little bit too high for me to pull the trigger on. So give me the home dog here in Washington. Total sitting at 224. One thing I'll give credit to is this Orlando pace and the defense that they've been playing with. I don't exactly see how Washington, makes it easy to score. I'm really thinking that this game could end somewhat in the early, 200s, to be completely honest. So I'm just hoping the Washington keeps it somewhat close to help our lean there of +8, but I'll also gladly take the under 224. Now, from a player prop perspective, and shout out to Jordan from the final round. If you guys watch his channel, if you don't, go check it out. But he threw out this prop yesterday in a crush, and I kind of like it again today. Wendell Carter Jr. over 3.5 first quarter points. The dude has been absolutely slamming this one, and you gotta love that too. He's a big man and he only needs 2 buckets in the first quarter to cash this, but anyways, he's hit this in 9 of his last 10 games. He's hit it in 13 of his last 20. On the season, he's hit it in 53% of games, and in head-to-head, he's hit this in 3 of his 4 games against Washington dating back to last season. I like this spot. Do I like his normal points line? Not necessarily. Surprisingly enough, he's actually hit the under 11.5 points in 3 of his last 4 games against against Washington. So I think I'm going to actually, lean towards the first quarter points here. Again, that's 3.5 right now. Decent odds over on FanDuel at -113. DraftKings has it at -120. Also, just for what it's worth, Washington on the season allowing the second most points to the opposing big man. So give me Wendell Carter Jr. over 3.5 first quarter points. I'm not the biggest first quarter better because it could lose so easily, it could cash so easily. It all happened so quick. So we'll see if I pull the trigger on that. All right, we got Atlanta taking on Cleveland. Both of these teams are on a back-to-back here. Cleveland coming off of what we just talked about, that great win against Boston yesterday. And Atlanta coming off a pretty good win, 16-point win against New York yesterday as 1.5-point dogs there. In terms of what we're looking at here, Cleveland sitting at road dogs. Atlanta dropping 3.5 points here at home. Total sitting at 214.5. I like this total over to start here. I do think that, watching that game yesterday and even on a back-to-back here, I think Cleveland's going to have a lack of defensive presence and get out and transition offensively. Atlanta can't cover any transition defense, right? And they're on a back-to-back as well. And on back-to-backs in Atlanta games, 60% of the time on those back-to-backs, the over has hit. This is a very doable number here. I know they're both missing their best player, Donovan Mitchell out for Cleveland and Trae Young out for Atlanta. But still, I think that the casting crew has enough to pull it together. I believe Evan Mobley's doubtful as well. But again, the over is probably my favorite spot in this game. In terms of a spread pick, I'm going to lean towards Atlanta. They're at home. Both teams on a back-to-back. Cleveland coming off of a much more emotional, draining win yesterday. Does it build momentum? Potentially. But, if we have no Evan Mobley, it's going to be Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Max Strus, Okoro. And I don't think Dean Wade does what he did yesterday. Dude absolutely carried that team. So I like Atlanta in this spot here, -3.5. And in terms of player props, nothing really that I'm loving as of right now. We are waiting on plenty of lines to come out because of injuries, but all in all, I don't really think this is my favorite spot for players today. All right, guys, before we jump into the rest of the slate, I want to talk to you about Sleeper because they have a free Giannis Square going right now for new users. You sign up today, you get two things. Starting with this Giannis Square, 0.5 points. They've knocked it down from 31.5. I think he drops a bucket today against the Warriors. So you get this free square as well as a deposit match. I believe it's still up to $500, which is absolutely absurd, guys. Go check out Sleeper. Really cool DFS pick'em app. You pair two to, put two or more player props in a slip. Obviously, the more you win, the more you get paid out. And what I love about Sleeper is their unique multipliers for each and every pick you select. They don't follow fixed payout structures like a lot of the other apps, aka 2 for 2 is 3 times, 5 for 5, blah, blah, blah. No, each and every pick you put into a slip impacts that dynamic outcome of that payout. Really, really cool stuff, guys. And they have so many more selections than a lot of apps out there. So go check out Sleeper. That link is in the pinned comment. Make sure to click it or sign up on Sleeper Picks using code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON. Spelling Bee Champ. Go check it out. Easiest way to do it, though, is clicking that link in the pinned comment. If Sleeper is available in your state, damn, you got to get on it. Go check it out. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of these games. We got 6 more. And we're looking at the Sixers taking on the Grizz here. I'd be lying if I said I really like this game. There's a few games on today's slate that I do like, but this doesn't seem to be one of them. Sixers ended up burning us last night, and I bet that after Tyrese Maxey was ruled out, right? I know a lot of people got caught with their Sixers slip being like, curse you, Maxey, concussion, where'd that come from? I knew Maxey was out when I took it, so it was just a bad read on my end there. But I do think that they're the better team than Memphis here. Memphis coming off of a win against Brooklyn. Is this Memphis team really going to rattle off 2 wins in a row? I'm not all that sure. I do think Sixers have the upper hand here. Even though I might not play it personally, it is a spot in which I just don't mind peeking. The total really low at 209. If the Sixers team, can do what they did even just, I guess, in the last few games offensively, I think this one goes up and over because their defense has been, allowing 110 plus in the last 4 games or so. And I don't really see them being all that, locked down. It's just going to come down to, can Memphis score the ball? Memphis themselves have just simply struggled to get to triple digits. So I'm going to lean over, but this might truly be a lean of of leans, you know? Like, I don't think that this is one that I'm really looking forward to pulling the trigger on in this spot here. Another spot that I may like, and it's unfortunate they bumped his line, but I did like Buddy Hield's over 3.5 assists again yesterday. He's cashed that, and I think it's like 10 of 11 games being a Sixer. They've now bumped it to 4.5 on sportsbooks, but on DFS apps, you can still get it at 3.5. I think that has some value there. I also don't mind taking a peek at his three-pointers made. Why, you might ask? It's not like this Memphis team is like terrible on the perimeter or anything like that. They're actually pretty good, but Buddy Hield's getting the volume, and with no Tyrese Maxey, I can't help but see him shoot. You know, last night was an anomaly. I think he shot like 3 or 4 times. With no Tyrese Maxey, I can't help but see him shooting, you know, the ball 8 times or something like that, which he should be able to make 3. So a couple Buddy Hield props I don't mind there. I think that the square chalky pick is going to be taking a peek at Tobias Harris, just because, you know, he's going to look for his, even like he did last night. I think he scored 18, which is good, but his line is at 20.5, which is a little bit too high for me. But again, it's not my favorite game altogether, especially after a terrible, god-awful womp womp of a night last night. We don't need to force picks we don't love tonight. All right, next up, we have Houston taking on the Clippers in this spot. Houston coming off of that game yesterday against the Spurs. I will say I have a player prop that I like in this game as well, but Houston coming off of a game in which they just pulled away at the end, 114-101, and the Clippers coming off of a loss from a Giannis-less Milwaukee team, so they should have some fire under their ass, aka the reason why I'm leaning towards the Clippers in this spot here. Houston, though, they aren't a back-to-back. I wouldn't hold it against them. 60% of their games this year went on back-to-backs they have covered in, so I'll give them a little bit of credit, but where I see sort of something trumping that is that the Clippers, when they have a rest advantage over their opponent, which they do, almost 70% of their games they have covered, 69.5% this season. And the Clippers are the better team in my brain, and they should be in yours as well. Give me the Clippers here minus the points. It's a little bit too much. I feel like this should be a 5.5, 5-point spread, something like that, but it's 6.5, and I'm still not afraid of it. In fact, scared money don't make money. FadeMe.store. Go pick it up, guys. Promo code SCARED. Get a discount off your order. FadeMe.store. A little plug there. But yeah, I like the Clippers in this spot. I do think that, you know, they capitalize on this back-to-back. I also like the under 222.5. This is a spot in which I imagine the Rockets think, okay, well, let's slow things down and we can beat the Clippers. And the Clippers are thinking, let's slow things down so we can beat the Rockets. Like, let's play our best basketball, right? Neither one of these teams run and gun teams. And that's great because the Clippers have not been good at stopping transition defense in the last 10 games, which is great because I don't think that the Rockets going to elect to try and go out there and, you know, play in some transition fashion of a basketball game. In terms of the player prop, like I said, I have one that I like. I'm looking at Alpi Sengun here, under 35.5 PRA. He had 45 points, 16 rebounds, and 3 assists last night. I'm just looking for him to come back down to earth. He's hit the under here in 60% of his last 20 games and in 8 of his last 10. Now, I think he's 4-4, if my math is correct, to the over and under of this line on back-to-backs this year, so nothing much to go off of there. But he has played, or at least in his last 5 games against the Clippers here, he's only gone over this line 1 time. The one game this year, he got pretty damn close in 34 minutes of play. He had 35 PRA. Again, this line is 35.5, but on the season, Clippers allowing the fewest points to centers, opposing centers, the 4th fewest rebounds, and then the 13th fewest, which isn't the best stat, it just looks bad because it's next to 1 and 4 there, the 13th fewest assists to opposing centers. I just don't think he does 2 games in a row, but you know what? There's some guys that, you know, come back down to earth after a great night, and then there's some guys that just go into a pocket of just killing it, and I'm hoping we're on the former, not the latter there. Utah taking on the Chicago Bulls here. Utah getting 4 points at home. Total sitting at 223.5. In terms of injuries here, Lauri Markkanen out, Porter out, Kessler out. George is a game time decision. On the other side for Chicago, no major injuries to note. Torrey Craig is a game time decision. I like Chicago in this spot. I just think that they're playing, or at least I should say what I've seen from them lately, they've been playing good basketball. They have been bouncing back and forth between wins or losses, whereas Utah has only won 2 games out of their last 8 here. They are back home. That is a factor. I totally understand that, but I'm still going to take a peek at Chicago here, minus the 4 points. In terms of total, 223, I like this one to go up and over. I think Utah allows Chicago to get into transition, even though it isn't their, you know, main goal, and I think that they're going to be able to score score there as well. And Utah, you know, say what you want about Chicago's defense and their pace, they're really not the best transition defense. If Utah wants to up it and go in transition, I think that they score pretty easily to answer and Jason. So I'm hoping that this game goes into transition. I've said transition a million times in the last 3 seconds. That's why I like the over in this spot here. From a player prop perspective, it's really juiced, but you know, I don't know if we'll be able to get it at a you know, digestible number here. But Ayo Dosunmu over 1.5 3-pointers made, I do really like in this spot. And then obviously we can continue to keep looking at some John Collins numbers. Like, the dude has just been absolutely killing it. They are inflating his numbers, but his PRA line, he's still hitting. His points plus rebound line, he's been hitting his rebound line. Like, I do think that this is a good spot for him, especially when he'll be like a little bit more of a mobile center. Compared to Vucevic, I like the idea of pulling the trigger on John Collins over 0.5 threes. You're probably only going to have value placing that on those prize pick sleepers, those DFS-esque apps, because he's going to be super juiced on sportsbooks. We're recording this early enough. We don't see those lines yet, but I'm just assuming his line is going to be 0.5, and it's going to be juiced on sportsbooks, but potentially available on DFS apps that some of them, like prize picks, that don't care about the odds, right? So keep an eye on that one. But yeah, you know, this should be a good game, and I like Chicago in it, as well as a slight lean towards the over. And then those player props are kind of like toss-ins. It's a lot of juiced picks there. All right, we got the Warriors taking on the Bucks. This one's interesting because I did flip-flop a few times here, you know, last night and this morning on where I was going to come out to on this game. So there's credence on both sides. We can admit that Milwaukee has won a million games in a row, 8 of their last 10, but they've won 6 games in a row and covered in all 6 of those games, favored in 5 of them, covering that number. And then they won outright as underdogs against the Clippers without Giannis, like we already mentioned in the video. But I like the Warriors. Minus 4.5 points. It may be kind of crazy the way the you know, Bucks have been playing, but you know, if we forget about that terrible loss with Boston, that Warriors game, the Warriors are playing some good basketball. They're now home after a long road trip, right? And this is just a spot where I think that they yes, they do have a look ahead spot. I believe they're playing the Rockets or I think the Bulls tomorrow, but you know, they're going to care more about this game, I think. 2 Eastern Conference teams, the Bucks a better team. They probably put more effort into the front end of the back-to-back here, right? And this is a Milwaukee team that's on the first of a West Coast trip. Like, it's just a decent spot for the Warriors to catch them and kind of bounce back from what we've seen as of late, right? Like, and when I say as of late, last game, because the Warriors were playing good basketball before that, when they lose by, you know, 1 million points to the Celtics. So yeah, give me the Warriors here. I also like taking a peek at the under, just based on trends here. Warriors have catched 8 unders of their last 10, and the Bucks have they're to the over, right? They're 0-9-1. So to the under, they're 9-0-1. They haven't hit an over in 10 games here. And this has been a pretty like back and forth type of a matchup for these two teams. The Bucks won the game earlier this year. I believe it was mid-January, 129-118. That was in Milwaukee. Now we have a game in which Steph, and I don't even know if Steph played in that game, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think he did. So now we have a team that has Steph, and they're a little bit more healthy, and they're at home. I think the tables just turn here. So give me the Warriors. But again, I give credence, and I understand anyone liking the Bucks side of things, because the Bucks are playing some damn good basketball. But I could see them losing this game and then kind of getting right back to playing good basketball. But first leg of a long road trip on the West Coast could be a little bit difficult. And like I said, I like the under as well. And then the player prop I'm looking at, Draymond Green over 18.5 PRA. Last time they played, or he played, he had 27 against them. He had 13 rebounds. And if he does play the center position, I do think that this is a good spot for him. You know, that is what he's listed at. Is he really a center? Probably not, but gets to start at the center. Bucks allowing the 4th most points, the 6th most rebounds, and the 3rd most assists to opposing centers on the season. And it's a big game. Draymond should be a dirt dog. He should be involved. Just don't do anything stupid to get yourself kicked out, buddy. Portland taking on the Thunder. Usually we dedicate a lot of time towards each and every game that we look into. Didn't look too much into this game, just due to the fact that there's such blowout potential. I would consider Lou Dort over 1.5 3-pointers made. He hit 5 last game. Shout out to the live stream that we did on Monday for that being brought to our attention. That's probably the only play, like literally, like the spread and the total, the only play that I'm even looking at and considering would be Lou Dort here. He's hit it in 4 of his last 7 against the Blazers as well. They don't allow many threes, to be completely honest. but like he's just looking for 2 here, just looking for 2, and he had 5 last game. But I will give a lean here towards the Thunder. I mean, last time we saw these 2 teams play, it was a bloodbath. Or actually, you know, I think it was 2 times ago, right? When OKC beat them by like 1,000,000 points. Last time they played, I think it was a closer game, but the game prior to that, you showed what OKC could do if they do want to beat you, right? And you know, the total here, 223.5. I'll lean towards the under just because I haven't been able to see any sort of trustworthy offense out of Portland, right? I think that that's a fair concern where they're struggling to get to, you know, 100 points. They did against Memphis, big whoop, and then surprisingly they did against Minnesota. But if you look past that, the offense just has not been there. So I'll lean towards the under, OKC, and then my real play that I might throw in is Lou Dort over 1.5 threes. Just unfortunate that this could be a blowout and minutes are a little bit less than normal. All right, next up, we have the Lakers taking on the Kings. This should be a good game, and I'm on the Lakers if LeBron plays. He is on the injury report right now, as is Anthony Davis. But still, I do think that this is a decent spot for them at home here, coming off of a nice win against OKC. They've won 3 of their last 4, 7 of their last 10 here. And Sacramento on the other side just really has been kind of up and down, like not playing the best of basketball. They were, 7-point favorites against the Bulls a couple nights ago and lose that game outright by like 5. So just not something that I'm loving seeing as of late here. So give me the Lakers, as well as taking a peek at, honestly, it's a high total. And I went back and forth, but I'm still going to lean towards the over here. This game, if it even touches any sort of transition, there's that word again, I think this gets up into the 240s for sure. We've seen sort of like an offensive drought from Sacramento, and the Lakers' defense hasn't really been all that great, so I expect Sacramento to have some success here. Last time they played was in November. They played twice this season, October and November. Sacramento, I think this game went to overtime, but they scored 132 in that game, and they scored 125 in a regular non-overtime game later on in the year, right? So both those games either going over or getting damn close to this number here. But yeah, I just think it's a good spot for the Lakers here. In terms of look-ahead spots, they do play Milwaukee in 2 days, so maybe that's sort of like, oh, well, look at that. But the Sacramento's on the first leg of a back-to-back. It's San Antonio, so they should care about this game. But in terms of look-ahead, only one team really has to worry about playing tomorrow, and that's Sacramento. In terms of a player prop here, I think we got to look at D'Angelo Russell over 23.5 points plus assist. The dude has only hit the under here in 3 of his last 20 games, 17 of 20. That's 85%. He's done it in 9 of his last 10, doing it in points some nights here, and he's done it in 2 straight games against Sacramento. Are the minutes going to be there? That's my only, I guess you could say, only concern. In his last 10 games, he's been playing 30 minutes, so obviously you're confident in that. But there's been a few games here where he gets really, really close, and all of a sudden, you know, ends up playing only like 31 minutes or so. And it's like, if we played that 30, he's averaging 35 minutes in the last 10. So if he plays under that, it's like, oh, we're nail biting now, because I will say 2 of those cashes in the last 10, he landed on 24. The line's 23.5, so I do like the spot. I like the matchup as well. In the last 7 games here, the Sacramento Kings have tightened up against point guards points-wise, but they're still very, very generous in terms of giving out assists. But on the season, they're allowing the 18th, they're ranked 18th, so bottom half of the league in preventing point guards from scoring the rock. So I do think that this is a spot in which I'd love to include assists, because I do think that he could have a big assist night. I also, I guess, in saying that, I don't mind his over 5.5 assists for plus money either. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see what we ultimately end up rolling with. And guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys do enjoy. I know these shows are tough to come in and me talk about, act like I know what I'm talking about after having a womp of a night. I understand that, but like I tell you guys, we could go 0 in a million and show up the next day. Like, I love doing this. I love making the videos. We did a little bit of an announcement video yesterday. Make sure you guys go check that one out. But yeah, I mean, I love doing this. I just had to cut the biggest sneeze of all time, so apologies there. But yes, I love doing this. Win or loss, we're going to show up. Again, I'm not telling you I'm an expert. I'm giving you my picks, Ev's picks, right? Like what I'm doing tonight type of thing. So hope you guys do enjoy that. If you did make it this far into the video, go ahead and comment picks, P-I-C-K-Z. Let's see if you're really listening. P-I-C-K-Z in the comments if you made it this far. That shows that you're a real one and you're not a damn guppy, all right? Don't be a guppy, guys. But that's all I have for you guys today. We're rambling at this point. I'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.